Tiffany Henyard. The scandal that brought Dalton to its knees, once a symbol of potential and reform. The village of Dalton, Illinois, located just 22 miles south of Chicago, now finds itself engulfed in a scandal that has shattered its foundation. At the center of this political firestorm is Tiffany Henyard, the embattled mayor whose tenure has become synonymous with financial mismanagement, unchecked spending, and a staggering betrayal of public trust. Henyard's time in office has been anything but stable. Since her election, she has faced accusations of treating the village's budget like a personal bank account, funneling taxpayer dollars into self-serving purchases while essential services in Dalton withered. The tipping point came in March 2024, when an explosive report revealed she had misappropriated public funds for personal use, igniting outrage and drawing intense scrutiny from local residents, media outlets, and eventually federal investigators. The financial chaos was swift and devastating. Dalton, already teetering under economic pressure, faced mounting debt, lawsuits from unpaid creditors, and the looming repossession of police vehicles. Town hall meetings erupted into anger-fueled confrontations, with residents demanding accountability and Henyard's resignation. But instead of stepping down, Henyard dug in while public services suffered and village coffers dried up. Reports surfaced that Henyard had taken out millions in personal loans she couldn't repay. These loans, allegedly used to finance a life of opulence, only deepened Dalton's fiscal crisis and attracted the attention of criminal investigators. The FBI soon launched a sweeping investigation into her financial activities, issuing subpoenas covering both her personal finances and the full accounting records of the village. What emerged painted a grim picture of corruption and excess. Among the most damning revelations, Henyard had spent over $40,000 on Amazon purchases over just a few months, all while the town struggled to pay basic bills. She reportedly funded extravagant vacations to exclusive resorts, purchased high-end luxury vehicles, and maintained a private security detail rivaling that of celebrities. These indulgences stood in stark contrast to the reality faced by Dalton citizens, who watched community programs collapse, infrastructure decay, and vital services disappear. Perhaps the most heartbreaking element of the scandal lies in Henyard's alleged mismanagement of the Section 8 housing program, a critical service designed to provide affordable housing for low-income families. Instead of directing funds toward needed repairs and housing improvements, Henyard reportedly redirected the money toward trips to Las Vegas and personal luxuries. As she lived lavishly, vulnerable residents were left in deteriorating, sometimes uninhabitable, housing conditions. The betrayal cut deeply for many in the community who had trusted her to prioritize their well-being. Adding fuel to the fire were reports that Henyard had attempted to raise $10 million via GoFundMe, allegedly under guise of supporting community development, but suspected by many to be an attempt to maintain her extravagant lifestyle. At the same time, her relationships with local churches, once seen as a core of her support base, had reportedly fractured due to mounting allegations and public backlash. Once hailed as a rising political figure with a platform built on reform, transparency, and community empowerment, Henyard's public image has been obliterated. Her leadership is now widely viewed as one of the most disastrous in Dalton's history, marked by arrogance, neglect, and self-interest. As the FBI's investigation expanded, residents learned that her misuse of funds was not just unethical, it might be criminal. The fallout has been swift and brutal. Former allies have become vocal critics, and public trust has evaporated almost entirely. Residents already burdened by economic hardship have expressed a profound sense of betrayal, watching their community crumble while their mayor lived in luxury. Protests erupted. Town hall meetings turned chaotic, and local officials began distancing themselves from the scandal-ridden administration. Despite mounting pressure, Henyard has refused to resign. Her refusal to step down, widely viewed as an attempt to cling to power and preserve access to public funds, has only fueled public fury. What was once seen as poor leadership is now understood by many as a pattern of deception and abuse of power. Community leaders, legal experts, and activists have joined the chorus of voices demanding accountability, while residents grapple with the lasting consequences of her administration. As the FBI continues to dig through Dalton's financial records, more alarming details have come to light. Sources close to the investigation describe a leader who repeatedly prioritized her own comfort over the basic needs of her constituents. Evidence suggests she used village funds to cover personal debt, pay for repeated luxury trips, and furnish an elite security team. Even while the town couldn't afford to fix potholes or pay utility bills, the emotional toll on Dalton has been immense. Community initiatives once championed under Henyard's reformist platform were quietly abandoned. Programs for youth, seniors, and small businesses lost funding. The morale of village workers plummeted. And for the families living in substandard housing, the reality of her mismanagement wasn't just disappointing. It was dangerous as more residents come forward with stories of failed promises and broken programs. It becomes increasingly clear that the Henyard administration was less a case of flawed governance and more a deliberate betrayal. This wasn't simply about financial missteps. It was about exploiting a position of public trust for personal gain. The scandal has cast a long shadow over Dalton. It is a cautionary tale of what can happen when a leader forgets the responsibilities that come with public service. Once full of promise and hope, the village now faces years of rebuilding. Not just its finances, but the trust and unity of a deeply wounded community. Tiffany Henyard's legacy, once tied aspirations of change, is now inseparable from a narrative of greed, corruption, and collapse. As the investigations deepen and legal consequences loom, the residents of Dalton continue to pick up the pieces of community left in shambles, determined, despite everything, to reclaim what was lost and chart a new path for the fall of Tiffany Henyard. A cautionary tale of power, corruption, and betrayal in Dalton, Illinois. The FBI's entry into Dalton's unfolding political scandal marked a turning point. Subpoenas were issued for Mayor Tiffany Henyard's personal financial records, and a full forensic audit of the village's fiscal history began. What had once been dismissed by some as mere administrative incompetence was now clearly a case of potential criminal wrongdoing. Federal scrutiny transformed the narrative, casting Henyard not as a struggling public servant, but as a central figure in a deepening web of corruption and fraud. Henyard's political rise was built on the promise of reform, transparency, and service. But those ideals now lie in ruins, overshadowed by mounting accusations of financial abuse, gross negligence, and a shocking disregard for public trust. Despite a growing body of evidence and intensifying public outrage, Henyard has refused to resign, clinging to power even as her administration crumbles around her. Her refusal to step down in the face of overwhelming condemnation has only further inflamed tensions and deepened the sense of betrayal felt by the community under her leadership. Dalton has spiraled into financial chaos. The town's essential services are underfunded. Infrastructure projects have stalled. Morale among public employees is at an all-time low. Henyard's personal finances are reportedly in shambles, riddled with debt and unpaid loans, while Dalton itself struggles to stay solvent. The once hopeful community has been left to pick up the pieces of a town torn apart by one leader's unchecked ambition and greed. The consequences of Henyard's mismanagement won't be easily undone. Repairing the damage, both financial and psychological, will take years. But perhaps even more difficult will be restoring the public's faith in local government, a trust that Henyard's actions have so thoroughly shattered. Her legacy is now cemented not in civic progress, but in scandal, excess, and the erosion of public confidence. What makes this betrayal so devastating is its scale and audacity. Henyard appeared to treat the mayor's office as a personal bank account. Public funds were allegedly spent on luxury vehicles, five-star vacations, and personal indulgences, all while Dalton teetered on the brink of collapse. Reports show over $40,000 was spent on Amazon alone within a few months. Her indulgences came at the expense of essential services, leaving community programs unfunded and residents in deteriorating conditions. Among the most disturbing allegations is her mishandling of the Section 8 housing program, meant to support the town's most vulnerable families. Instead of investing in critical repairs and improvements, Henyard allegedly diverted funds toward personal trips to Las Vegas and other lavish expenses. Families who depended on safe, affordable housing were left to live in crumbling, often unsafe conditions. A stark contrast to the mayor's life of luxury. As scrutiny intensified, Henyard's response grew increasingly desperate and tone-deaf. Facing mounting personal debt and possible bankruptcy, she turned to the public for help, launching online fundraisers, including a GoFundMe campaign, to cover her expenses. The move sparked immediate backlash. Residents were stunned by the audacity of a public official who once controlled hundreds of thousands in taxpayer funds, now asking for personal donations after allegedly squandering public money. She put herself in this mess. How dare she ask for help? "I won't donate a cent, ***, one local resident wrote on social media. Another pointed out the contradiction. ***, someone making over $300,000 a year had no business ending up like this. Not unless they were seriously mismanaging everything. Public reaction was swift, unforgiving, and deeply personal. For many residents, Henyard's plea wasn't just inappropriate. It was insulting. The very people she had failed, those left in a crumbling town without basic services, were now being asked to fund a lifestyle that had contributed to their hardship. Her request became the ultimate symbol of her disconnect from the community she was supposed to serve. Instead of showing humility or remorse, Henyard has doubled down. Rather than accepting responsibility or issuing a sincere apology, she has painted herself as a victim, a narrative that has failed to resonate with a public growing more angry and disillusioned by the day. Her attempt to deflect blame and shift the spotlight only underscore her refusal to acknowledge the reality. Her leadership has been catastrophic. Dalton has become a symbol of civic failure. The town's infrastructure is crumbling, services are in disarray, and public trust is in tatters. Programs that once offered hope, youth outreach, housing assistance, community development, have been neglected or abandoned. And yet, in the face of undeniable evidence of mismanagement and potential fraud, Henyard remains defiant. Offering excuses instead of solutions, her administration is now defined by excess, dishonesty, and failure. What was once viewed as a promising political career has devolved into a cautionary tale of unchecked power and self-interest. And the damage runs deep, not just in dollars lost, but in the shattered hopes of a community that believed in her. People who once voted for her, campaigned for her, and believed in her message now feel deceived, abandoned, and angry. For many in Dalton, the betrayal feels personal. Henyard promised progress, transparency, and a brighter future. Instead, they got spiraling debt, crumbling infrastructure, and a mayor more concerned with luxury than leadership. Her decisions have not only harmed the town financially, but have inflicted lasting wounds on its collective spirit. The ongoing investigation continues to uncover new and disturbing details. But even without final charges, the court of public opinion has already rendered its verdict. Henyard's time as mayor has become a case study in how power can corrupt, and how the failure of one leader can unravel the very fabric of community. Tiffany Henyard's story is no longer one of unmet potential or flawed governance. It has become a symbol of betrayal, a stark warning of what happens when public servants put personal gain above public good. Her rise and fall now serve as a rallying cry for accountability, transparency, and ethical leadership at every level of government. Dalton will take years to recover, but its people are already moving forward, determined to rebuild what was lost and ensure that such a collapse never happens again. Tiffany Henyard's downfall, how one mayor's scandal sent Dalton spiraling. As the scandal surrounding Dalton, Illinois Mayor Tiffany Henyard continues to unravel. It has become a glaring example of how corruption and abuse of power can fracture the very soul of a community. Once seen as a rising political figure committed to transparency and reform, Henyard's reputation now lies in ruins, overshadowed by allegations of financial misconduct, mismanagement, and betrayal on a staggering scale. What began as headlines about extravagant spending quickly morphed into something far more damning. Reports of Henyard's personal indulgences, luxury vacations, high-end vehicles, a $40,000 Amazon spree, were just the tip of the iceberg. Beneath the surface was a web of financial recklessness that not only implicated her personally, but dragged the entire town into chaos. One of the most egregious accusations: Henyard allegedly used public resources, funded by Dalton's taxpayers, as collateral for personal loans. This breach of public trust stunned residents. City property and assets meant to serve the people were reportedly leveraged to fund Henyard's lavish lifestyle. Instead of using her office to uplift the town, she seemingly transformed it into a vehicle for personal gain. When these allegations came to light, public outrage exploded. Dalton residents, many of whom once rallied behind Henyard's campaign promises of progress and reform, were blindsided by the scale of her betrayal. Their mayor wasn't just failing to lead. She was allegedly sacrificing the welfare of the community for personal indulgence. The misuse of funds meant for infrastructure, public services, and community programs added another damning layer to an already catastrophic tenure. The anger in Dalton has been relentless. Town meetings have grown tense. Social media has become a hub of condemnation. And amid this firestorm, Henyard made a baffling move that further fueled public fury. She launched a GoFundMe campaign, reportedly in an effort to raise $10 million to help cover her spiraling debts. The same official accused of misusing hundreds of thousands in taxpayer money was now appealing to the very people she had allegedly betrayed. The backlash was immediate and fierce. She put herself in this mess. How dare she ask for help? One commenter wrote, "I won't donate a cent." Another echoed a widely shared sentiment. She had a $300,000 income and unlimited access to village funds. Now she wants us to bail her out? That's not just shameless. It's delusional. Despite the audacity of the appeal, the fundraiser has so far raised a meager $115,000, falling dramatically short of the multi-million-dollar goal. For Dalton residents still living with the consequences of Henyard's decisions, underfunded programs, crumbling infrastructure, and delayed services, her request for public sympathy has only deepened the sense of betrayal. The scandal has become more than a local controversy. It's a national example of how the misuse of public office can devastate an entire town. Federal investigators are now involved. The FBI's sweeping investigation includes forensic audits, subpoenas, and growing speculation about whether Henyard may face criminal charges. Each new revelation only worsens the public's perception. Perhaps the most shocking to date, reports that Henyard spent nearly $888,000 on makeup in 2023 alone, an almost unbelievable figure that has fueled rumors she may be planning to flee the country. Speculation is rampant that she intends to use any funds raised to escape accountability, possibly retreating to a remote location far from the consequences of her actions. Dalton's financial state is dire. One resident recalled that as of the last available bank statement in September, the city was $7 million in debt. That staggering figure, paired with Henyard's personal spending, has only intensified calls for prosecution. For residents, the idea that she might escape justice isn't just infuriating. It's intolerable the fact that she's not already in prison is as bad as the crime she's committed. One angry resident wrote online, "She belongs behind bars beyond financial ruin." The emotional impact on the community is profound. People who once saw Henyard as a beacon of hope now view her as a symbol of betrayal. Her refusal to take accountability, instead painting herself as a victim, has only further alienated the public. Many view her ongoing presence in office not just as inappropriate, but as a deliberate obstacle to healing and recovery. Instead of apologizing or stepping aside, Henyard has offered excuses and deflections. Her public statements have largely failed to address the core issues, further cementing the public's belief that she is unwilling or unable to accept the consequences of her actions as Dalton suffers under the weight of collapsing budget and stalled public services. The disconnect between Henyard's lifestyle and her constituent struggles could not be more glaring. Every dollar spent on lavish perks is now seen as a dollar stolen from the town's future. Every broken promise, every missed opportunity, adds fuel to the fire in many ways. Henyard's fall from grace has become a cautionary tale, not just for Dalton, but for communities everywhere. Her story highlights the dangers of unchecked authority, the consequences of personal greed in public service, and the importance of rigorous oversight in local government. The trust that once existed between Henyard and the people of Dalton has completely disintegrated. The town is now united in one goal: holding her accountable. There's a growing resolve among residents not to allow the scandal to end in silence or escape. They are determined to see the truth brought to light and justice delivered. Dalton may be facing a financial collapse, but citizens are rising to confront it, angry, organized, and demanding change. The damage Henyard inflicted will take years to undo, but the community's determination to restore its integrity may be the most powerful response to her betrayal. Tiffany Henyard will not be remembered for accomplishments or civic progress. Her legacy will be defined by scandal, mismanagement, and the deep wounds left in a town that once believed in her. As investigations continue and the public demands accountability, one truth has emerged loud and clear: Dalton will not forget, and it will not forgive.